much non-factors in either of those races?
Well, look, there was a primary process in Toledo, and so you had an independent and a Democrat candidate running there. The independent candidate that was running in the city in Dayton actually worked in cooperation quite extensively with the county Republican Party, and so I think I think we as a party will continue to have need to find ways to fare better in urban areas. There's no doubt about it. But the registration advantage still is so overwhelmingly in favor of the Democrats that it's tough to compete. But the bottom line is what happened in Toledo and in Dayton yesterday was essentially a rejection of the traditional Democrat line, the traditional Democrat method, the traditional Democrat mantra of bigger government, of a lack of vision on economic development and jobs and prosperity, and so we understand the electoral challenges we face in an urban setting. We acknowledge them, we know it, but we're excited about what both the independent candidates in Toledo and Dayton have to offer.
Can we interpret a vote for an independent candidate as a rejection of both parties?
I don't think that's what you saw. I think what you saw was, if anything, you saw was a rejection of the status quo. And DeWine, to put Mayor McClin out on her ear after 8 years is a pretty big deal in the city of Dayton. I can't underscore that. It is a humiliating defeat for Democrats in the state of Ohio, and I think it goes back to one of the central themes and tenets of what we'll be talking about with Ted Strickland. It was failed leadership, broken promises, and incompetent management, and we saw that when presented with that, voters will choose a new candidate. Joe?
You said next year will be an incumbent election. Was that the same thing that happened in New Jersey? Or did you make the argument that it was an anti-incumbent rather than an anti-Democrat? And the same in Virginia.
Well, Virginia was an open seat.
Yeah,
Virginia was an open seat.
Had Democratic leadership.
Yeah, look, I think both of those. I think there's different answers and kind of different evaluations that we're all going to kind of land on in both of those seats, in both of those races. I think in both instances, what you see is an undercurrent of people who are opposed to the policies of the president, who are opposed to Obama's policy, and are concerned about his policies that greatly expand the role of government in the lives of Americans. And I think that's a common denominator between what you saw in Virginia and what you saw in New Jersey. And I think it'll be a key element, stands to be a key element of the election in 2010 here in Ohio.
Another thing, we saw in upstate New York what happened to the endorsed Republican candidate. Are you concerned about that happening here in Ohio, particularly in maybe the 15th district where you have a pro-choice Republican candidate?
No. Look, we've got outstanding candidates. We've got savvy voters, and look, I'm not going to be able to prevent a third-party candidate from running against one of our, entering any of these races. I would submit to you that Steve Stivers had 2 third-party candidates in his general election last year in an Obama year and lost to Mary Jo Kilroy by 2,300 votes. With the changing climate, the changing political environment in the state of Ohio, I can't keep third-party candidates off the ballot, but if they're there, I feel good that with savvy voters and with strong candidates, we'll fare well here in Ohio if that sort of climate comes here.
One of the things you mentioned is an incumbent election, and it's dependent on climate. If the economic climate in Ohio improves next year, what's that do for the governor's race? Doesn't it strengthen Strickland's hand?
Look, I think there's a lot of information out there that would lead us to believe that it's going to be very difficult for there to be a huge change in the economic climate in Ohio. I don't want to dabble in supposition and what happens if and what happens if this happens or that happens. You know, if you look at economic indicators, Ohio's always first in and last out. And I don't buy the economic recovery numbers that we've seen announced over the last week or two. And I don't think that you're going to see a significant increase or improvement in Ohio's economy before, say, August, July or August, when the environment and the mood for the electorate is set. A huge economic change in October of 2010 really won't have an impact in the race. But I don't see a significant difference in Ohio's economy, unfortunately, taking place between now and say July or August of 2010, when really the environment for the election will be set and will be determined. Don't see it happening.
There are